Hey all, how are you today? Welcome back. So the quick announcement is that the video coming on the 15th, we're going to be talking about Weird Season 2, Episode 11, which is really cool. And I'll be talking about movie curses, which is cool. And that'll actually be the last episode of Weird Season 2, which is crazy. And at this video coming on the 14th, we're talking about Let's Talk Horror, which I'm filming right now for Frankenstein. We're talking about the original, released in 1931. So Frankenstein, like I said, it was released in 1931. It was directed by James Whale. He's wrote a couple films, which I want to talk about maybe next year. There's two especially. Known for this, known for The Old Dark House, which was 1932. I might talk about that one in the future. I don't know. Invisible Man is the one I really want to talk about. Hopefully in 2023, get that started. That was released, 1933. Then, 1935, he would have directed Bride of Frankenstein, which is really cool. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'll be talking about Bride of Frankenstein in one of the first months in 2023. But you'll find out more about that soon, like next month. Which is cool. I'm super excited. Because Frankenstein's an iconic movie. We got a couple well-known people. It was produced by Carl Lemieux. Carl Lemieux, I've never heard of. So he's the heir of Carl Laemmle, who is actually one of the co-founders of Universal Studios, which is really cool. He also worked in the movie Dracula, The Mummy. It's really cool. I'll be hopefully talking about The Mummy earlier this year. He also works with Bride of Frankenstein, The Black Cat, The Invisible Man. Just a lot of iconic horror movies. Yeah. Sorry, just trying to think of this. You will probably find a lot of connections between this and Dracula, 1931 version, which I made a video about. And this movie was adapted from a 1977 play by Peggy Webling, which in turn was based off Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley was an English novelist who wrote the 1818 novel Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus. The Webbing play was adapted by John Balderston. I'm trying to think what else I would have. He wrote the script for The Mummy. The Mummy, Dracula, and the other Dracula. The stage play Dracula, and The Bride of Frankenstein he also worked with. A lot of stuff in the horror genre. That's why I like how there's connections between these early films. Screenplay was written by Francis Farrago, and Garrett Fort. We've actually seen Fort mentioned before. Fort. He's best remembered to work on original screen things such as Dracula, which is another connection between the two movies. Frankenstein, Dracula's Daughter, and The Mask of Zorro, which was released in 1940. Yeah, I've never really heard of Francis Farrago. And other people worked on it was Robert Flory and John Russell. I'm pretty sure I've heard of Russell's name before, which is cool. So Flory, he worked on the movie Murders on the Rue Morgue. Yeah, definitely heard of it because there's a lot of connections with that movie, and Dracula too, which is really cool. At least two major connections, which is cool. And John Russell, I probably heard of him. I'm just looking up what he worked on. Actually, I've not heard of any others his films, which is interesting. So let's get into some of the actors who starred. There's one really famous actor who I definitely recognize. But first, the stars Colin Clive as Henry Frankenstein, the guy who created the monster. Not in a lot of stuff. He died really young. He died in 1937. Mostly known for a lot of play stuff. This is one of his movies he was in. It's the only one I recognize, which is cool. We also have a couple more people. So Frankenstein's monster, I'm just gonna call Frankenstein, or just Frankenstein, is played by Boris Karloff, one of the more iconic horror actors from the early 1900s. He had 174 roles. And I would say he's probably up there for horror. He was also in Bride of Frankenstein, The Son of Frankenstein. He was Imhotep in The Mummy, 1932 one, and voiced the Grinch as well as narrating an animated special of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas in 1966, which is really cool. Just a really famous actor, and just really cool. He's one of the more iconic horror actors in I'm trying to think what else he would have worked on. I would have recognized. He was also in Old Dark House, The Black Cat, which is cool, The Raven, yeah, just a lot of early horror stuff, which I think is really cool. Just a really good actor. Yeah, also, so the makeup for the monster is provided by Jack Pierce. He worked on a lot of classic monster makeup for Universal Studios, which is really cool. He worked on Lon Chaney's The Wolfman, The Mummy 1932, Son of Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. The Ghost of Frankenstein, Son of Dracula, He worked on The Toupees and Dracula in 1931. White Zombie he worked on. Yeah. Some of the other cast in the film include Mae Clark. I've definitely heard of her. She was in Public Enemy with James Cagney, which is cool. That's only John Bull, who played Victor Moritz. Dwight Fry, who we've actually seen in another horror. There's two actors I'll mention real quick. Dwight Fry, known for two pieces of horror especially, but there's probably others. He was in Dracula as Renfield, and he was Fritz in Frankenstein. He also appeared in such other things as Bride of Frankenstein is uncredited in that role. The Vampire Bat, Bride of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein meets the Ghost, the Wolfman. Yeah, and there's one more I mentioned because this guy's well known too. Edward Van Sloan, he was an American character actor, known for his roles in Universal Picture horror films, such as Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Mummy, which is cool. He played Van Helsing and Dracula. He played Dr. Waldman in Frankenstein, and he played Dr. Mueller in The Mummy, and just in a lot of other things. Yeah, which is really cool. Yeah, I really like Frankenstein. It's such an iconic movie. His tagline was "A man who made a monster." And it did really well at the box office when it was released on November 21st, 1931. It budget was only $260,000, which is a lot back then. But then it also made $12 million, which is crazy to think about. I'll definitely be making more Universal Pictures classics movies because they're kind of cool. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I just want to say thank you, and I'll just say next Let's Talk Horror, we're going to be coming on the 18th talking about The Wolfman, which was released in 2011. Hope you guys enjoy, and bye-bye, and seriously hope you have a great day. Bye.